My roommate ate my groceries and shrugged. What's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. I said, okay. Then I started using everything of hers and leaving it scattered all over the apartment. I'm 24 now. Jenna and I had been roommates for about a year when she ate the salmon I had been saving for a dinner I was finally going to cook. I walked into an empty wrapper in the trash and Jenna on the couch, completely unbothered. Did you eat my salmon? The piece with my name written on the paper? Oh, that was yours. Sorry, I was starving. But come on, roommates share. What's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. She said it like a sweet little law of the universe. The trouble was, the law only ever ran one direction. Jenna ate my food every week without a flicker of guilt. The oat milk I bought for my coffee vanished, and the empty carton went right back in the fridge. My Sunday meal prep became her weekday lunches, leaving me a tower of empty containers. Half of a birthday cake my mom had baked and mailed me disappeared before I got a single slice. The protein smoothie I blended and labeled with a hopeful note got drunk too, and somehow the note was the rude part. Every time, the same breezy shrug. Roommates share. Don't be so stingy about food. Her own shelf, though, was a fortress with a moat. The one time I borrowed a single granola bar from her side, she clocked it within the hour. Hey, did you take one of my bars? Those are mine. I keep a count. Her yogurts wore little sticky tabs that said hands off, and she counted her snack drawer like a bank teller closing out a till. So the rule turned out to be simple after all. My things were ours, and her things were hers. That was the morning I decided to start following her rule to the letter. The next day, I helped myself to Jenna's expensive serum, the little gold bottle she guarded like it held actual gold. A generous pump came out, and the bottle stayed open on the bathroom counter where a sneeze could tip it over. Her soft cream sweater went to the gym with me, and came home in a damp heap on my floor. My morning coffee went into her favorite mug, the one nobody was allowed to touch, which then sat in the sink unwashed for 2 whole days. Whenever she asked about any of it, I had a single answer loaded and ready. Roommates share. What's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. You taught me that one. I really committed to the project. Her good shampoo ran until the bottle wheezed nothing but air. The headphones got borrowed and left tangled on the table. Her curling iron came into my room and stayed conveniently forgotten there. A spritz of her perfume went on me every single morning before I walked out the door. The cute reusable tote she loved became my grocery bag and came home crumpled in a corner. Her phone charger relocated to my nightstand. I returned nothing to where I found it, not because I forgot, but because she never had. The apartment slowly filled up with her belongings in all the wrong places, because the instant I finished with something, I set it down wherever I happened to be standing, the exact way she abandoned my empty cartons. There was something clarifying about it. Not satisfying exactly, but clarifying. Every misplaced item was a data point she had originally submitted herself. Jenna started discovering pieces of her own life scattered across rooms she had never carried them into. Her sweater surfaced under my gym bag. The good earrings turned up in a dish by the sink. Her favorite jeans came back to her with a faint stain near one knee. It took 4 days for Jenna to truly lose it. She marched over clutching her nearly empty serum bottle like a small national tragedy. Did you use my serum? This stuff is $40 an ounce. I did. Roommates share. That is completely different. This is my personal skincare. Funny, the salmon was my personal dinner. She pivoted to the sweater next. Why was my cashmere balled up on your bedroom floor? I needed something warm for the gym. What's mine is yours, remember? That is absolutely not what I meant, and you know it. It is exactly what you meant for 11 straight months. The proof is my permanently empty fridge. Put it all back exactly where it belongs, she snapped. Gladly. The same afternoon you put back 11 months of my groceries. Jenna tried to draw a line that had never once existed before. Food is one thing, but you cannot just help yourself to my clothes and my makeup and my things. Why not? What makes your serum sacred and my groceries free for all? You wrote the rule yourself. I am the only person who has ever actually followed it, because that is my expensive stuff. And the salmon was my expensive dinner. The oat milk was my expensive coffee. That cake was the only thing my mom sent me all year, and you ate it standing over the sink. Jenna opened her mouth to argue and could not land on a single sentence that did not also defend my fridge. She tried guilt instead. I cannot believe you would be this petty over a few groceries. You did it first, every week for a year, and called it sharing. If raiding my food was nothing, then borrowing your sweater is nothing. If borrowing your sweater is something, then we finally agree about my food. That answer left her nowhere to stand. She turned on her heel, walked to her room, and slammed the door so hard the picture frame in the hallway rattled. For 2 full days, the apartment was quiet in a way it had never been. No breezy shrugs over meals, no stolen food, no conversation at all. Jenna left for work before I woke up and came home after I was already in my room. I noticed her shelf was still untouched, every sticky tab still in place, every granola bar accounted for, but for the first time in months, my groceries were also untouched. My shelf was exactly the way I left it. The oat milk stayed full, the leftovers stayed sealed. Nothing moved, nothing vanished, nothing got shrugged away. I went to the store, bought fresh salmon because I felt like I had earned that, and cooked the dinner I had been planning weeks ago. I ate every single bite of it at our table in total silence, and it was the best meal I had made in a long time. Not because of the food, because it was still there when I wanted it. I went to bed that second night thinking maybe this was over. Maybe Jenna finally understood. Maybe I could stop keeping score and just live in my own apartment like a normal person. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Roderick, a guy I had been seeing casually for a few weeks. Nothing serious yet, just coffee dates and long texts, and that early stage where everything still feels light. His message said, "Hey, is everything okay with you and Jenna? She called me last night saying she's worried about you." I read it twice. My whole chest got tight. I typed back, "Worried about me? What did she say?" Roderick told me Jenna had described me as acting erratic. She said I had been going through her personal belongings and not being herself lately. She framed the whole thing as concern. Not a complaint, not anger, just sweet worried roommate energy. And that was so much worse than if she had just been mad, because concern is harder to argue against. If someone says they are mad at you, people pick sides. If someone says they are worried about you, people rally around the worrier and look at you like you might be broken. Then Roderick sent me screenshots without me even asking. Jenna had created a separate group chat with Bernie, Bernard, Roderick, and herself. She titled it "Worried About," and then my name. Just seeing my name in that title made my skin feel hot. I scrolled through the screenshots and read every single message. Jenna had written things like, "She's been taking my things and leaving them everywhere. there. I don't know what's going on with her. And then, I tried to talk to her about it and she just threw old stuff back in my face. Another one said, I'm not even upset. I'm just scared for her. This isn't like her. Not one mention of the salmon. Not one mention of 11 months of eaten food. Not one word about the birthday cake my mom baked and mailed to me that Jenna ate half of before I ever got home. She cut the story exactly in half. She kept the half where I used her stuff and threw away the half where she used mine for a year. She edited me into someone who woke up one morning and started trashing her roommate's belongings for no reason. The brief piece shattered. While I was cooking my salmon and feeling proud of myself for finally setting a boundary, she was on the phone building a case. Then I remembered something. Over 11 months, every time I opened the fridge to find something missing or came home to another empty container on my shelf, I had taken a picture and sent it to my mom with a vent text. It was just my way of letting off steam. The empty oat milk carton sitting in the fridge with nothing in it, the stack of meal prep containers that had been full on Sunday and hollow by Wednesday, the birthday cake box from Crimson, open on the counter, with more than half the cake gone and a knife still sitting in the box, the sticky note I wrote on my smoothie, peeled off and tossed in the trash, crumpled up next to the empty glass. I had photos of all of it, dozens of them, time-stamped, dated, sent to my mom in real time over the course of almost a year. I never thought of them as proof. They were just frustration with a camera attached. But now they were a paper trail I didn't even know I was building. I organized them by date, screenshotted the texts I had sent my mom alongside each photo, and put everything in order so I could walk someone through 11 months of one-sided sharing in under 5 minutes. If Jenna wanted to tell half the story, I was going to bring the other half with receipts. The next morning, I met Roderick at a coffee shop near the apartment. He was already sitting at a corner table when I walked in, and he stood up when he saw me, which was nice because it meant he was taking this seriously and not just humoring me. I sat down, took a breath, and started from the beginning. Not from the serum or the sweater, but from the oat milk. I told him about the very first time I noticed my groceries disappearing and how Jenna shrugged it off like it was nothing. I told him about the meal prep, 5 containers gone in a week. I told him about the smoothie and the sticky note she peeled off and threw in the trash like my asking her not to touch my food was the rude part. I told him about the salmon, the thing that finally broke me. And then I pulled up my phone and showed him the photos. His face changed the more he scrolled. He went from polite and open to something quieter, something that looked like he was rethinking every word Jenna had said to him. When he got to the photo of the cake box, he stopped and looked up at me. She made it sound like you just started trashing her stuff out of nowhere. She never mentioned any of this. Not the food, not the cake, none of it. That's because if she told the full story, she'd be the one who looks bad. He leaned back and told me something that made my whole body go still. Bernie and Bernard were already talking in the group chat about having a conversation with me, the word people use when they have already decided you are the problem, and want to sound gentle about it. Jenna had suggested everyone come over to the apartment for dinner to check in on me in person, pitching it as casual, but I was supposed to walk in not knowing what was coming. This was not a dinner. This was an ambush. Jenna was setting up an intervention where I would be outnumbered, blindsided, and already painted as the unstable one before I even sat down. Every person in that room would have already read Jenna's version of the story. Every person would already be looking at me with that careful, pitying expression that makes you feel like you are being studied instead of heard. Roderick said he wasn't comfortable with it, which is why he had reached out to me first. He offered to tell Bernie and Bernard the full story before Friday. I thought about it, then said no. I want to be the one to say it, face to face in front of everyone. If Jenna wants an audience, I'll give her one. But the show is going to be different than the one she planned. He nodded. Okay, I'll be there, and I'll have your back. When I walked through the front door that afternoon, I heard humming coming from down the hall. Jenna was standing at the counter pulling out pots and pans, dish towel over her shoulder, little smile on her face like she was filming a cooking show. She turned around and gave me the warmest look she had managed in days. Hey, I was thinking of having a few people over Friday, just a chill dinner. You're welcome to join. The performance was so smooth I almost laughed. I kept my face calm. Sure, sounds great. I could see the tiny flash of surprise cross her face. She had been ready for a fight. Me saying yes with a smile threw her off for half a second. Cool, she said, turning back to the counter. It'll be fun. I walked to my room, closed the door, and organized everything on my phone one more time. Then I called my mom. Crimson picked up on the second ring. What's wrong? You never call on a weeknight. I told her everything. The food, the mirroring, the group chat Jenna made behind my back, the staged dinner on Friday. My mom was quiet for a long time. The quiet of someone choosing words carefully because the wrong ones might involve driving to my apartment. Then she spoke. That girl ate the cake I baked you. I spent 2 days on that cake. I wrapped it 3 different ways so it would survive the mail. And she is the one telling people you have a problem? I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. You walk into that dinner and you tell the truth. Every bit of it. Lay it all out, calm and clear, and let them see the whole picture. If those friends are worth keeping, they will hear you. And if they don't, you will know exactly where you stand. Friday came and I drove home from work with my phone in my bag and my whole body humming with something between nerves and focus. When I opened the front door, I barely recognized the place. Every surface was wiped down. She had lit a candle on the coffee table, plates already set out on the table, soft acoustic music playing from the little speaker in the living room. It looked like a home where 2 happy roommates lived in perfect peace. It looked like a lie. Bernie and Bernard were already on the couch when I walked in. Their smiles came a half second too slow, a little too gentle, a little too careful. It was the tone people use when they have already been told someone is fragile. Bernard leaned forward and said, "Hey, how are you doing?" Like, really doing? The pity in his voice made my skin crawl. Not because he was being mean, because he was being kind based on a story that wasn't true, and that made the kindness feel like a cage. I smiled, dropped my bag by the door and said, "I'm great. Hungry, actually. Jenna's cooking smells amazing. First time for everything." I said that last part loud enough for Jenna to hear from the other room. She laughed, but it came out a little too loud, a little too fast. Roderick showed up about 10 minutes later. When his eyes found mine across the room, he gave me a small nod. Nobody else noticed, but I felt it like a hand on my shoulder. Jenna brought the food to the table, and for a while the conversation was easy on the surface, but underneath it I could feel the room waiting. Every few seconds someone would glance at me a little too quickly, then look away. Bernie kept asking if I wanted more water. Bernard laughed too hard at things that were only a little bit funny. The whole room room was holding its breath. Then Jenna steered it. She set down her fork, let out a long sigh, and folded her hands on the table. I actually wanted to get everyone together because I've been worried about something. Her voice was soft. Her face was open and full of rehearsed concern. She turned to me and said, "Things have been kind of tense at home lately, and I just want to make sure we're all okay." Bernard cleared his throat and said, "Jenna mentioned you've been going through a rough patch. We just want you to know we're here." The framing was locked in place before I had swallowed my first bite. I was the patient. Bernie and Bernard were the support group. Jenna was the caring, selfless friend who organized a whole dinner just to make sure I was okay. She got bolder. She looked down at her plate like it was hard to say, then said, "I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, but she's been taking my things, my clothes, my skincare, my stuff, and just leaving them everywhere." She paused and swallowed like she was fighting back tears. I tried to talk to her about it and she got really defensive. Then she looked up at me with wet eyes. "I just want my friend back." Her voice cracked on the word friend, and it was perfect. The exact right amount of emotion to make everyone feel protective of her without seeming dramatic. I could feel the room tilt toward Jenna like gravity. She was winning. If I pushed back, I was the aggressor. If I raised my voice, I was the unstable one. If I got emotional, I was proving everything she said. Every road led to Jenna crying harder, and everyone leaving the apartment thinking the intervention was the right call. I took a breath. I looked at Roderick. His face had patience on it, not pity. He knew what I had. He was just waiting for me to decide when. I reached for my glass of water. I took a slow sip. I set it back down and said, calm as anything, "Jenna's right. I have been using her things. I want to explain why." The room went quiet. Not the polite kind of quiet, the real kind, where nobody even reaches for their fork. I spoke slowly, like I was reading a grocery list out loud. It started with the oat milk. Jenna drank my oat milk and put the empty carton back in the fridge. I didn't say anything. Then she ate my meal prep for the week. 5 containers. I didn't say anything. Then she ate half of a birthday cake that my mom baked and mailed to me. My mom spent 2 days on that cake and wrapped it 3 different ways so it would survive shipping. I didn't get a single slice of my own birthday cake. I paused and let that sit. I still didn't say anything. Jenna cut in, "Okay, but food is different. That's just normal roommate stuff." I didn't argue with her. I picked up my phone, opened the folder I had organized 2 nights before, and turned the screen toward the table, the empty fridge shelf. The label I wrote on my smoothie, peeled off and crumpled. The cake box from Crimson sitting open on the counter with more than half of it gone, and a knife still lying in the box. The stack of empty meal prep containers on my shelf, 5 of them, hollow and cleaned out by Wednesday. I passed the phone to Bernard. He took it and started scrolling slowly. I watched his face change photo by photo, like someone turning the lights on in a room one bulb at a time. He stopped on the cake photo for a long time. Then he passed the phone to Bernie without saying a word. Bernie looked at the photos, scrolled back, scrolled forward, and then looked up at Jenna. I continued. Every time I brought it up, Jenna told me the same thing. Roommates share. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. So after 11 months, I started sharing back. I used her shampoo. I wore her sweater. I borrowed her serum. And I left them wherever I finished with them. The same way she left my empty containers on the counter. That is the full story. Both halves. Jenna's composure cracked. "You're making it sound way worse than it was. It was just food. A little food here and there. Then my using your shampoo is just shampoo. A little shampoo here and there. You can't call yours sacred and mine nothing." Bernie looked directly at Jenna and said, "Wait, you ate the cake her mom sent? The whole half?" Jenna's eyes darted sideways. "I didn't know it was that big of a deal," she said, and for the first time her voice sounded small. Bernard put my phone down on the table. "Jenna, she has like 30 photos on here. This isn't a little food here and there. This is every week." Jenna shifted in her chair. "I just thought we were closer than that. I thought we didn't keep score. You kept exact count of your granola bars. You put sticky tabs on your yogurt that said hands off. You counted your snack drawer like inventory. You kept score. You just only kept it on your side." Roderick spoke. "She showed me the photos 2 days ago. That's why I texted you to ask what was going on. The version Jenna put in the group chat left out everything that happened before." Bernard turned to Jenna slowly. "You made a whole group chat about her behind her back?" Jenna's face went red from her neck all the way up. "I was worried about her," she said, but the words came out thin and used up. Bernard shook his head. "You were building a case. There's a difference." Bernie looked at me and said, "I'm sorry. I came here tonight thinking something totally different was happening." I nodded. I didn't need a big reaction. I didn't need to gloat or point fingers or say I told you so. I just looked at Jenna, who was sitting very still in her chair, hands flat on the table, no longer dabbing at her eyes, no longer performing. The napkin she had been using to catch her rehearsed tears was crumpled next to her plate, forgotten. Every person she had invited to be her audience had become a witness to her own pattern. The dinner ended quietly after that. Bernie and Bernard left without finishing their plates, and both of them texted me later that night to apologize for assuming the worst. Roderick stayed behind to help clean up. Jenna disappeared into her room without another word. The next morning, I found a sticky note on the fridge in her handwriting that said, "I'll replace the groceries." It was not an apology, but it was the first time Jenna had ever acknowledged the debt. I started looking at new apartments that weekend, not out of anger, but because I finally knew what my own space was worth. I texted Crimson a photo of a fresh slice of store-bought cake with the message, "This one's all mine," and set my phone face down on the counter.